Thanks for participating in our soil health benchmark study. This video will show you how to take accurate soil samples and how to submit those samples to the Cornell Soil Health Lab. Please follow these instructions closely and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Choose a day sometime between mid-October and early November to take your soil samples from the 3 research fields that you've designated. You'll be taking samples from all 3 of your research fields on the same day. Avoid taking samples at times when the soil is too dry or too wet and muddy. A good rule of thumb is if the soil is workable and able to be tilled, it's a good time for soil sampling. If you're sampling a vegetable field and are planning to sow a cover crop, ideally take your soil samples after you've sown the cover crop and after you've completed all of your field preparations. If needed, you can take samples while vegetables are still in your field. If you're sampling a grain, row crop, or hay field, ideally take your samples after grain or silage has been harvested or after your last cutting of hay. If you're planning to sow a cover crop in a field you're sampling, take the sample after you've sown the cover crop and after you've completed all of your field preparations. If you're sampling a pasture or paddock, you don't need to follow any additional guidelines for sampling. When it's time to sample your soil, collect the following supplies: a straight shovel, such as a sharpshooter or drain spade style, a ruler or tape measure, 1 5-gallon bucket, a permanent marker, and a measuring cup. You'll also need the following supplies for shipping the samples. These may have been already provided to you by Pasa. 2 1-gallon freezer storage bags for each field that you're sampling, so you'll need 6 bags in total. Your Cornell Soil Health Test submission form, and a shipping box. Before you take your soil samples in your first research field, walk the length of your field to plot suitable sampling locations. Visualize a path in the shape of the letter M. At each point in the M-shaped path, take 2 soil samples, 5 to 10 feet apart from one another. When you're done with the first field, you'll have taken 10 samples in total. Avoid field borders and any irregular areas or trouble spots, such as a low spot or a rock outcropping. For fields still in vegetable production at the time of sampling, make sure you choose one location from each pair in a crop row and one location in a pathway. However, if your system involves permanent beds, that is, the field is not tilled or rotated as a whole unit, then choose both locations from a pair within the permanent bed. Repeat this step for your next 2 research fields, plotting locations for 10 samples in each field. When you're finished, you'll have plotted locations for 30 samples in total. Now you're ready to sample your first field. First, mark your shovel 6 inches from the edge to ensure consistency in your sample sizes. Remove surface debris around the sampling location. Use your shovel to dig a small hole about 8 inches deep and 8 to 10 inches wide. From the side of the hole, position the shovel perpendicular to the ground and take a vertical, rectangular slice of soil 6 inches deep and about 2 inches thick. Remove any extra soil hanging past the sides of the shovel to ensure that the sample is the same width at the top and bottom of the slice. You want to end up with a rectangular 6-inch deep by 2-inch thick slice of soil, the same width of the shovel. If you must use a pointed tip shovel, take extra care to take an even profile of soil. For accurate test results, it's important to collect the same amount of soil throughout the 6-inch sample profile so that your sample's not biased with more soil from the surface compared to the subsurface. Place the sample into your bucket and repeat these steps at each of your sampling locations, adding each sample from the same field to the same bucket. Mix the samples in the bucket with your hands as you go, breaking up soil clods larger than an acorn. Do not mix samples from different study fields in the same bucket. When you're finished sampling your first field, thoroughly mix all of the 10 samples together one last time, breaking up any remaining soil clods. Use a permanent marker to clearly label a Ziploc bag with your field name, sampling date, and your farm's name. Then, use your measuring cup to put 6 cups of soil into the bag. Return any extra soil to the field and clean the bucket out with your hands or a brush before moving on to the next field. Repeat these steps to sample your next 2 research fields. Remember, keep the soil samples from each field separate. Ship your soil samples within 3 days from collection time, and try to keep them away from direct sunlight if you're not shipping them immediately. You don't need to refrigerate them, but keep the bags close to room temperature. Double bag each sample with a second Ziploc bag, and make sure each sample is clearly labeled with the name of your farm, the date you took the sample, and the name of the field you took the sample from. Finally, complete the Cornell Soil Health Test submission form with all the necessary information. Pack the form in another Ziploc bag to protect it from moisture during shipping. Load your shipping box with the 3 samples, place the form on top of them, seal up the box, and mail it to the Cornell Soil Health Lab. Please call or write us to let us know when you've mailed your samples. Also, don't hesitate to contact us at any time with questions. Thank you again for helping to grow the soil health movement.